Thank you everyone for being here with us for the second performance sessions, and where we will talk about immersive and interactive spaces in museums and experience centers. Are they the future of culture? This is the question. I hope we will have some answers. So my name is Nathalie. I'm director of the Artec Foundation and curator of the forums. I will be your moderator and timekeeper tonight, and Julie, our community manager at Artec Foundation, will assist me during this hour. And thank you, Julie. This pre-forum session is proposed to you by David-Alexandre Chanel, founder and CEO of Theoriz Studio, based in Lyon, in France. And David-Alexandre participating in the first Artec Prize as one of the 8 nominees in 2017 already. So it's great to see you again, David-Alexandre. I'm also very, very happy to welcome 3 other members of the Artec community who participating as keynote or panelists in one of the past Artec forums. So Guillaume Aniorté, who is International Development Advisor at Partenariat du Quartier des Spectacles, and he will speak from Montreal. And Guillaume was one of the keynotes in 2017 too. So great to see you again, Guillaume. And Couzigou, producer at Moment Factory, also in Montreal. So it's midday in Canada. And previously, Michael was director at Atelier des Lumières in Paris. And Michael joins the Artec Forum in Venice. Maybe you remember this great edition of the Artec Forum, and he was in 2018 one of our panelists. And Gwenael Allan joined us last year. It was great to have you, Gwenael. It was our first online session edition of the forum, so it was also for us an experience, and you managed it very well. And Gwenael is the founder and CEO of Sensory Odyssey, a project launched in France, and you will see that it's an amazing project too. So the 4 will now explain their really amazing and quite diverse projects in more detail. But before to give them the floor, I would like to give you some logistical information, and it will help us to spend this hour better together. So first, we'd like to interact actively with you, or all of you. So let me bring to your attention that you have 2 buttons at the bottom of your screens. So the chat is the general chat, where everyone will be able to see our messages, and Q&A is where you can ask your questions. And Julie will be the only one to see them, and she will interrupt the discussion to ask the questions to our panelists. So we are together 1 hour, and I suggest that you attendees pop up your questions in the Q&A, and of course the panelists can also exchange questions. And as I said, so we organize this hour as a discussion rather than a real panel. So don't be shy, please. We'd like to interact with you. So enough said. So let our speakers introduce themselves, and they will present their projects. And we will start with David-Alexandre. So thank you, David. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Nathalie. Thank you very much, everyone. Happy to be here. So I'm the co-founder of Theoriz Studio and also Augmenta. I will present you a bit like what I do. So maybe let me show you and share my screen real quick. And then, yeah. Basically, we are a creative studio. So we work like it's an intersection of art and technology, and we different fields like culture, art, entertainment. And basically what we do is like we started as artists, and then we started like doing like installations for like other artists or like museums or brands or governments, cultures. Mostly like space like experiences. So like we started like 10 years ago with like trying to build like bring interactivity in projects. And then like from now on, like we work like internationally now with lots of experiences and interactive installations. And maybe I can show you like a bit of a video of how it looks, and so you can understand a bit more what we do. So yeah, that's pretty what we do. And our main line of work is, I mean, like we do like still art. So we still are artists, and we do exhibit like work of art. What we do, we create approximately one piece of art every year and stuff. And mainly like our team and studio, we work like mostly like services, and mainly we provide services for events or museums in the field of culture or corporate events. And then we also have like a research lab where we do like science research. And in this research, we did work a lot on all kind of tools about how you can deploy easily like immersive installations. And those last year, like we received like a lot of requests, mainly from museums or corporate showrooms or exhibition booths to do like a lot of immersive room of any size, like very, very big ones, like Atelier de Lumière, for example, or more smaller ones for museums. And then like we started like doing this a lot, different kind of content that goes like from like entertainment to lots of different kind of content. And then at some point we started like providing the tools that we use for in the studio to other people. So now like we started like selling like this tech. I will briefly talk about it. And it's a technology where you can like have like an immersive space, and then you can transform your space into an interactive space in a very easy way. So you just put like sensors on the ceiling, on the walls, and then like you can have everything become interactive. And that's mainly what we do. We like in the museums those days, we do a lot of rooms where we project video on the floor, on the walls, and we make them interactive, and then we create interactive content with it. And it looks a bit like that. That's it. I hope you could see the videos.
Thank you very much, David. It's really great to see how we progressed also, because we met 5 years ago, and we see that you have you made your studio growed up, and it's really great to see that. Maybe to let Guillaume, you have another project. In fact, you were quite different. And we see that emotion and interaction are not necessarily linked to digital technology, which is interesting tonight for us. So Guillaume, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Natalie. It's a very great pleasure to join you today from Montreal. And as Natalie mentioned, I was one of the first keynote in the first edition of Artec. So I'm very happy to be here and hopefully be in person in a few months. So I will share the presentation as you should see on the screen now. Is that correct? Yes? Can you see it? Good. Well, so for those who are not familiar with the Quartier des Spectacles, we are located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And we are really in the downtown part of the city. So we are very close to the business district, the old Montreal. So that means that we have many, many people who are crossing the district during the day and during vacations or all the year long. The Quartier des Spectacles is covering 1 square kilometers, which is less than half a square mile. And it's offer a great and a significant number of indoor and outdoor activities and events. We have 80 venues in the Quartier du Spectacle, including 30 theaters and concert halls. So just to let you know, in terms of, well, it's more than 25 or almost 30% of all the tickets sold in all the province of Quebec in terms of culture events and opening outdoors. So we have 8 open and public spaces with 40 festivals. Festivals will take place during the year, mostly in the summer and in the fall. So that's the reason why, in addition to that, the mandate we have in the Quartier du Spectacle, and especially for the partnership, which is the organization in charge of managing the Quartier, is to program some activities, outdoor activities, including cultural and civic events like music, dance, yoga, urban agriculture, youth programming, etc. So this is ensuring that we have a large public who keep ownership of the Quartier du Spectacle, and mostly during where there's not big events, they can be there and participate of the life. So we came up also with this idea to develop temporary installations to entertain the public and create bonds between the people. So even if there is no festival or big events who are taking place, and especially during the winter. So through competitions and commissions, the partnership drive the creation of original works with a strong participatory element, which is designed for public open spaces. So when we talk about participatory, it's not like immersive, but it's much more a question of how do we engage the audience with the arts and how we make them part of the cultural experience. And that's a way to create a strong relationship with the local artists and companies, creative companies, who are doing many public and participative installations during the last decade for us. Okay. So the project that we implement, those big projects that we are implementing with the partnerships in the Quartier du Spectacle district, provide different audiences with an extraordinary experiences that literally transform their relationship with the city. And it stimulates also the creation and the dissemination of original works that reinforce the exceptional character of the Quartier du Spectacle cultural offer, which is very different of having concerts or outdoor activities such like events. And also it can promote a cultural experience and create links between creators and citizens also into the city, which is something that we want to be very close to the people and to the audience. And because of the extraordinary, I would say, like success of these experiences, we have developed since the last 5 years a distribution strategy. So we have a chance to create some interesting relationship with other organizations and cities over the world who are welcoming our installation. So it's also a way for us to create a participative experience and public arts, but not only in Montreal, but with other cities around the world. So as you can understood, we acquired during the last decade a sense of experience and expertise in the way that we are developing such experience. Once again, those experience that we could call immersive, but more in our way participative for public realm, is designed to inspire and encourage active public participation. So we would like, and we want the people are celebrating, moving, sharing with others around this artistic proposal and cultural expression of what are the creators doing for the city. So for us, it's a new form of culture, I would say. We will talk about the future of culture, but for us, it's much more a new form of culture with a large democratization path in order to integrate the arts and culture in the day-to-day life of the people and meet them where they are, meaning where they live in the cities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was really interesting, and I have some questions, but we need, of course, to let our other speakers explaining what they're doing. So, Michael, can you please explain your project?
Yes, hello, everybody. I'm really pleased to be on this short meeting today. So I'm Michael Couzigou. I'm a producer at Moment Factory. Previously, I was the co-creator and director of Atelier des Lumières in France, in Paris. It's the first immersive art center to be built in Paris, and it has a huge success that we were really surprised with about 1.5 million visitors in only 10 months. So I moved to Montreal to work with Moment Factory 2 years ago, and I'm really happy to join this fabulous multimedia studio based in Montreal. And so we work, Moment Factory work in the multimedia fields in different sorts of activity. Mostly we work into the, we want to create multimedia experiences to create different experiences for the audience in public spaces, work also in some museums, work also on different projects in shows and concerts, and we work for theme park also. So we use the multimedia tools to create unique experiences for different public, and we want people to play, to create their own experience with the multimedia. The multimedia is only a tool for us, and we use it to create a unique experience in different venues, in fact. So we can work in museums, we can work in church, because we create a massive shows in the Basilique Notre-Dame in Montreal called Aura. So it's a way to enhance the culture and heritage by using the multimedia. So Moment Factory is a 20 years old studio, and we work in the different continents in the world. We have four different offices and one in Paris for the Europe. So I will be really happy to discuss with you about this really interesting subject of Artec Forum.
Thank you very much, Michael. Maybe Julie, do we have any question? Maybe just to give you the floor, attendees, but no question.
Not at the moment, but please feel free.
Yes, please ask your question. Maybe to enter the questions session, we will have Gwenael. Gwenael, you can please explain your fantastic projects, which is quite new, and the project will be launched very soon. So I'm very keen of your project personally, but of every project, but this is quite an amazing one. Please, Gwenael. Yeah, you're muted.
Thank you, everybody. I feel like I'm the baby in the room. Unlike everybody else, we are going to maybe just present a precise example of what we're doing, as opposed to talking about the many things that we could be doing. Luckily enough, we're opening next month, our first showcase, and I will present you essentially what will be version number 1 of what we hope will be a series of what we call spectacular expeditions over the years to come. So I'm just going to open up this little visual presentation. So we have enter full screen. Are we okay? Are we good? Okay. So Sensory Odyssey is a startup. Essentially, we've been developing this project for 6 years. We are co-producing this with the Natural History Museum in Paris. And I'm sorry, I can't seem to view. I need to exit full screen. I need to pull the pages here. Okay. We are co-producing this. The idea behind the project is to basically focus on natural history subjects, so biodiversity, bringing natural sciences to a larger public. So we're inventing a medium which is a cross between immersive cinema, interactive art, and science exhibition. Obviously very family oriented. And in order to not use the word immersive experience, we are describing this as a spectacular expedition. So what we do is we basically highlight. We have spent the last 2-3 years around the world filming in very high definition the images, the sounds, the scents, all the stories, the mysteries, the behaviors, all the interconnections that play in the natural, in the living world. The idea is to use highly realistic contents mixed with a twist of surreal. We basically say, when Alice meets Darwin, what happens? And the idea is that the public will have a chance to walk through these spaces, these multimedia spaces, multisensory, in order, and we'll be able to hear, to see, to smell, to feel as if they had superpowers, to feel close to nature as it has never been possible before. Our first production, opening on October 23rd for 9 months, will basically be staging a journey across the world in 8 ecosystems, from the tropics all the way to the Arctic. We have what is also particular about our project is that though it's very science oriented, there are no words, there are only feelings, only sensations, because we believe that creating a feeling of awe in the public will make them more interested in actually understanding the world we live in. And the production is also produced in a way that we have, each room is a self-standing structure that could fit in any physical space of 5 meters and more. And so we have the possibility of adapting to many different types of spaces, many different types of stories from the living world. Here is a short video that puts an image, images and sounds, what I've just described, before I go through the storyline with you. One of the unique aspects of this production is the integration of scent. We believe that the use of scent will amplify the experience of connection with the living world. Essentially, this first production will be in 8 rooms. So the first habitat will be a takeoff with the flamingos in Kenya. You will notice that we have purposely in all of these rooms completely change the scale of size and time all of that in order to really feel that there is hardly any difference between being human or being a non-human species. From this takeoff, you would land in the savannah in a space which provides an incredible experience of sound and scent with shadow effects to make you feel what it's like to be in the savannah at night. You move on to another room and you are high up in the canopy in the Amazon forest, and you are basically feeling like you are in the capacity of floating amongst the canopy in 360 degrees of projections, until slowly you basically trickle down 40 meters of canopy all the way down to the soil, to the floor, which leads us to experiencing what it is like to feel, to hear, to see like bats. Following this bat experience, we go underground, 16-meter screen over 5 meters. All of this is interactive, again, with sounds and scents. And the idea is here is to really feel very close the connections between the fungi, the roots, the bacteria, the insects, the animals, all of this coming alive from microscopic detail all the way to all of the ecosystem that lives in the very rich underground. We then enter a room of prairies where where basically each of us is the size of the bugs. The bugs are pollinators, and you are seeing them fly. It's 60 images per second, and you see the effect of them pollinating with the flowers. You are literally seeing things like you've never seen them before in your life. Then we are in the rain curtain with the insects again. Then we dive underwater, and we are diving with the whales. We're communicating with the whales and their sounds, as well as exploring a coral reef, and ending in the land of icebergs in Groenland, and experiencing what it's like in all of the life that is there in a 180-degree screen, again with feelings of cold and scent and all. At the end of the experience, which is about 1 hour long and over 1,000 square meters, we have a post-show area designed and developed by the scientists at the Natural History Museum in Paris in order to better understand what we've seen, what we've experienced, but also understand how all of these, all of the magic that you've experienced, how it can help you maybe want to be part of the world and act in a way, in an engaging way, in participating with initiatives that are related to sustainable development. And this last scene here, you see basically a structure that is about 1,000 square meters, showing all of the habitats and the post-show. And you understand that this is a self-standing structure. There are hardly any objects. It is all equipment and screens and very few accessories. There's much more I could say, but I think 5 minutes are over.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gwenael. It was very fascinating as the whole projects presented tonight. Maybe, yeah, I see some comments on the chat. I think that, well, you have questions, Lily?
Yes, I have a few questions. And first of all, I had a comment from Laura who says that the video was lagging a bit, but we will send the recording with the integrated HD videos tomorrow to everyone. So
that's a shame. No,
you won't have to see it. You will get to see it. So I have a first question from Ronan, who is asking, is large-scale immersive experience compatible with depth perception? either through stereo or through motion parallax. And he says that by large scale, he means large number of participants.
Or for Gwenael or for the other? Yeah,
Oh.
Gwenael. Yeah, okay, sorry, yeah.
The question is quite complicated. I'll start with the end, and then you help me. Large scale, we are looking at a relatively intimate production with groups of up to 20 people each 5 minutes. We really want to make it theatrical and intimate. And obviously, the idea is, yes, there is a way through a spectacular, beautiful staging of content to create depth. But we are basically about trying to trigger emotions. Our goal is to trigger an emotion that makes people want to understand better. So we won't replace a traditional museum exhibition. We will just hopefully trigger more interest for younger audiences to understand the world we live in.
Thank you, great.
Does that answer the question? If it's,
I think so, yes. If you want precision, you can, yes. He says yes, okay. Then I have Richard, who asked the total running time of all habitats, but I guess you told us there were 8 rooms and the total visit was about 1 hour, right?
Yeah, so it's around 5 to 8 minutes.
Okay. Then also Richard asks if the sense which you edit, did you use a pre-launch audience testing? Did you test the sense with people?
Well, we've tested parts, but I do admit that we are opening this next month without ever having seen what it looks like all together.
Okay.
Because producing this in the last 2 years of COVID has been absolutely, impossible. And so we are, that's why I say that our production at the museum in Paris will be kind of a showcase version. We've tested bits and pieces, but we haven't seen what it's all going to feel like as a whole.
It's going to be a surprise.
Yes.
And last question, always from Richard. He wants to ask if the audio is pure nature sound or if it's accompanied by a score.
No, we believe we want to make everything as the sense, the sound, the images are as real as they can be.
All right.
Because we believe that the more reality there is, the higher definition, the higher emotional impact there will be.
Thank you. That's it for the question.
Okay, so maybe I can't ask my questions because every panelist has said very interesting things, and to answer the questions, immersive things, the future of culture. I think that maybe for you, Michael, because you talk about Moment Factory, so you were also director at the Atelier des Lumières. And finally, we are talking also about entertainment rather than culture. Maybe it's a little bit provocative, but what for you the difference when you're talking about digital immersion and interaction? Is it entertainment? Is it really culture? It's true then launching the Atelier des Lumières allowed a lot of people who don't, and we know don't go to museums to go there and to discover pieces of art and new artists, etc. But do you make a difference between entertainment and culture in terms of what you're doing, in fact?
I think, in fact, it's a really thin line now between culture and entertainment. Of course, with Atelier des Lumières, we saw a lot of people that they never goes to museums. Normally, they don't go to Louvre Museum or to Orsay, and there were a lot of Parisian. It was not for tourist people; it was for the locals people. And for us, it's another way to discover art in another type of visits. It's another experience. It's different from museums. I would say that museums, they have their own politic, and we do something different. We don't want to do something to replace the museums. It's another experience. So I will say that the multimedia can help to bring people to culture, to bring people to art in a different way. I will say maybe the youngest people. But at Atelier de Lumière, we had also a lot of old people and retired people that they were really curious and really interested into a new way to present art, immersive. So now the tools, the multimedia can help us to create something new. It's really artistic because the people we work with are digital artists like David-Alexandre. For us, they are artists. It's a new generation of artists. So it's really interesting to work in this field because it's contemporary art. I will say digital art, it's contemporary art, but we can be inspired by paintings, by sculpture, and we can deliver a new experience, a contemporary experience to the audience. So it's really new. In fact, digital art and immersive art is really new. So I will say that maybe in 2, 3, 4 years, people will be more open to this new type of art. But people are really interested to this kind of new art, in fact.
And David-Alexandre, I would like also to ask to you the questions because you position yourself as artists. You are, yeah. And what's the difference for you between the culture and entertainment, as we've just talked about? What's your position?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Michael said. Actually, like for example, like the last museums we worked with. There are museums. So, for example, like one museum we did work on was a museum about Champagne in France, and they didn't even want to be called a museum. They wanted to be called like an experience center. Everything could learn about the process and everything, but they didn't want to be called a museum. So I'd say, yeah, for me, like it's like entertainment and culture. When we say culture, like as museums mainly, it's kind of joining, you know, it's coming like closer and closer because like museums wants to offer like more and more entertainment. We get asked to like museums more and more to propose like kind of entertainment. So we're still working on the subject. We try not to give like any bias and any false information so people can get access to the correct information, but still they want more like wow effects, more shows, more like immersive, like more things about like the senses, the sensations and everything. So more kinds of the request we get for entertainment shows as well. So it's kind of, I would say it's kind of like joining and getting closer and closer.
Very much, yeah. And just to come to you, Guillaume, because you are you in competitions with digital installations? Do you think that you can be, or you are in competition? Do you bring something else? Do you what's your positions when you?
Yeah, at the contrary, I think we are a complementary offer public, meaning that when we're talking about entertainment or culture or immersion or interactivity, we mean that the people want to engage with the hard position. And that's the way we see our work in the public realm. Sorry for this noise. That we have to understand that maybe also our business model is a little bit different from, I guess, most of the immersive folks producer we have here, meaning that we are not selling tickets. And most of the time, what we are doing, we are working with public realm, we are working with cities, organizations to create art in the street and to bring culture and participative arts to the public. So, and especially in the COVID mode, when we know that most of the venues are closed or have big restrictions, we are part of a way to relaunch cultural district downtown. And when we are working now, maybe, for instance, we could work very closely with the Centre Phi in Montreal, which is a place where you can find many immersive propositions. Then our role is to bring people to some like public and open, free of charge experiences. And then because we are close to such cultural centers, they can go after that and experience something more immersive and more technological in a digital mode. This is also something important for us. We avoid any third component to be in contact with the artistic proposal, meaning that we don't use like smartphones or technology like this. We want the people have very direct contact with the installation, and we want the people just bring their eyes over their iPhone or over their smartphone and being in contact with each other, with the cultural expression of arts in the streets. So it's also something, a different feeling, I would say, compared to the immersive and digital arts, as you mentioned previously. So to respond to your question, we are a complementary offer, not a competitive offer, competition offer.
Thank you very much. Do you want Gwenael, Michael, or David-Alexandre react on this, or I have other questions, but you want to give your feedback also? Not you. Yeah.
Well, yes, with Quartier des Spectacles, we had the opportunity, the chance to work with Quartier des Spectacles in Montreal. I will say for French people like me, it's really interesting to see how Montreal and Quartier des Spectacles invented a new way to discover art and to engage people in the public space. I think it's a really good example of what we can do now with creativity in the downtown center. And I think in the post-COVID time, it's really interesting to be inspired by what Guillaume made with Quartier des Spectacles. It's really inspiring. I will say that maybe for Paris or for major capitals, there's something to take with Montreal, because there's a lot of things interesting creating there.
Julie, any question for the audience?
I have one. Yes, I have a question for Guillaume from Daniel. He's also working on new interactive and collective non-invasive installations in public spaces. And he wants to know if you can agree that this is a major growth market.
It is, yes. If I correctly understanding what is meaning by non-invasive, but for sure, we see the public spaces as a new playground for us. And it starts a lot with, as Michael mentioned, it was part of a previous experience in Montreal. And the reason why also I'll talk about the international development, because we see now cities over the world, and not only in North America, but also in Europe, asking for such proposals and experience for the audience, because they see it as a way to not only bringing some touristic value proposition, but also creating some life between citizens. And it's a way also to activate businesses around, to activate, and sometimes also to create some destination where some place people are just crossing by, but destination. So how do you create a permanent life? So we see that as an exceptional market growing more and more. And the reason why we increase our presence in the market, and we increase the number of the production we are doing per year, is because we feel that we don't have enough stuff to propose to the cities and to the organization. So yes, it's a real growing market. And I will add something to what Michael said, and for sure we are working very closely with the Moment Factory. We have a great project in the new skiing environment in Montreal. I hope you will see it soon. But it's also a way to create some interesting opportunities for our creators and artists being part of such initiatives, whether they are immersive for indoor venues or whether they are participative for public spaces, open spaces. We share the same artist, and we share a real collaboration mode between those artists doing different stuff. So we have also to think about that, and especially during the COVID pandemic period, it was also a question of bringing some opportunities for this community to work.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Julie?
Yes, a few other questions. One that is also from Daniel, but I'm not sure. I guess it is for Gwenael because it was during the presentation. He asked if the degree of interactivity with the public is not very clear, and he wants more details on that.
Well, maybe you can just open.
On what? More details on what?
Degree of interactivity with the audience.
Ah.
He felt he was missing some information.
Yes. Well, it's hard to say. What is the degree of interaction? Because each room has more or less interaction. And the most important part for us is not so much the interaction in itself. It's making sure that although there are sensors everywhere that trigger sound, sense, and film effects and other effects, most of the interaction in a way is kind of a gadget. The experience does not rely on the amount of interactions, but more on the fact that we are capable of seeing wildlife up close like never before. Seeing, feeling, hearing, etc. So there's no ratio of interaction. I can't say there's 20 interactions per room, for example. Each room is completely different in its application. Some rooms will have very little, more contemplative. We believe that depending on the subject matter, sometimes than others.
Thank you. Maybe we have other questions, but I just want to share what Richard put in the chat. So talking about the Olympics, it was when we were talking about entertainment, culture, etc. And Richard said, so the Olympics were a hybrid of art, entertainment, and culture. Michael, I think that Moment Factory worked for the Olympics, or not? It's just a question like I had.
Yeah, we made something for the closing ceremony because, as you know, there were no audience into the stadium, so we created a mixed reality show for the people on television, for the audience on television. So we augmented the experience with mixed reality. It was the first time, I think, we on television. We made this kind of show for the first time, so it was a real success, and we made it with several partners, and yeah, it was a really crazy experience, in fact, at the end.
I'd like to come back to you, David-Alexandre, because you talked about technologies, and I'd like to know what for you are the new technical challenges. Like, do you have any ideas? Are you working on new tools, or you showed this new tool for creativity? What are your plans, in fact, in terms of technical innovation?
Yeah, I would say is if you're talking about like a big immersive space where you project videos on the walls and floor, like similar to what Gwenael does, or also Michael with Atelier des Lumières before, I'd say the two challenges. Like the first one is like
think that we have lost.
Oh, yeah. I would say like the first challenge is like how do you create content for big spaces? Like when you work from immersive room, like the space is always different. So the size, walls and floor, or the height of the ceiling is always different. So as a creator, you really have to imagine like, okay, what size is gonna be like my content? Sounds gonna be like displayed and everything. So this is like one of the challenges because it's not always something people are used to. Like people. Screens or cinema, whatever, so you know exactly the size, and then now like the size is changing a lot from one space to another. So this is one challenge, and I would say like the second challenge is technical. So now when it comes to like projecting videos and doing video mapping, it's something that is now very common. So there's like a lot of companies that can do very good work, and it's not, I would say it's not anymore a huge technical challenge to provide like video projection in big spaces. It's not easy, but it's now something like kind of normal. But when it's come to interactivity, at least the kind of interactivity we do, which is like transforming the walls, I like touch the iPads, the phones and everything. And then like we, in those spaces, we transform the walls into touch surfaces so they can touch the content for real. And also we do like interactivity, like when people move in the space. So when you move in the space, you can have like visuals reacting to you on the floor and on the walls. So like the space become conscious and aware of the number of people in space, how they move, where they are, and everything. So you really can have like an installation and a show that behave depending on like where the people are and how they behave and how many they are. And providing interactivity to challenge, and it's something we are working like for now like approximately 8 years, and it's something we get asked a lot. Like this, we finally did like develop this tech Augmenta where you can do this easily, but it's still like a complicated process like behind the technology. Like it's still like something very complex, and so yeah, so that's why we did like do a lot of work on it so we can provide this to any companies, because what happened right now in this field is like huge company or powerful companies, they can do this because they have the engineers, the R&D and everything. So Moment Factory can do it, for example, they have like the teams and everything, but small studios, small creators, they cannot have access to this because it's a lot of work to do interactive in huge spaces for permanent spaces, but we like welcome like hundreds of visitors every day or even more. This is very tricky, so that's why we did develop this tech. So for us, we can do it like deploy this easily, and also like we can provide this possibility to other people and other studios around the world. So I would say, yeah, interactive is.
Thank you very much, David-Alexandre. Yeah, we had Daniel who's sharing a recent example of ongoing of multi-user experience. So here in the chat, if you want to take the link, you can. Thank you very much, Daniel. And I'm seeing that we have 2 minutes more. My God, it's really we're running to the hour. Julie, do you have any questions from your side?
Yes, I have 2 questions. One from Ronan that is mainly for Guillaume, David, and the question is, what kind of motion sensing is best for participant interaction? And he adds, for example, he's thinking of an exhibition from Team Lab, maybe happened in Partenariat La Villette in 2018. So that's very specific. He also gave a link, but unfortunately I cannot share it with you because I can copy it. So Ronan, if you want to pop your Team Lab in the chat so everyone can try it and have a look. But the question was, what kind of motion sensing is best for stimulating the participant interaction?
I can answer if you want, because it's very simple. You know, for us, the more stimulation is by lights and sounds. I would say lights.
In fact, for some luminas, we know we created some projects in nature. It's some project we do, experiences we do in forest. I think we call it Lumina. It's night walks experiences. We use some connected tools. It can be a stick, and it can be different tools that people can use during the experience, and people can play with this. But I will say that it's not the most important things to create the stimulation. I think the storytelling is really important when you create something. It's not all about multimedia and tools and etc., because you can lose yourself with the multimedia too, because it's really complicated. I think first you must tell a very good story and to take people to an experience with emotion and poetry. So to me, it's the basis of our project. And the tools, the multimedia, is just tools to help people to enter into this the story.
So much for all your questions and for all your answers. So I think the time unfortunately is over, so it ran very quickly. I really thank you for everybody for having participating in this second pre-forum, in fact. And I hope to see you again on the 28th of September. So you know that we will streamed on with the platform we are on now. So I just one word about this platform, which has been launched some months ago by Swiss startup. And so we are also very happy to partner with they help us really greatly. And thank you very much, Mattia, if you are still here, for all your help. And so we really hope to meet you again very soon. And don't forget to register for the Arctic Forum. Julie, we sent you, as you are registered to this pre-event, the link, and we will also post on LinkedIn. So don't hesitate to re-see the sessions. So thanks so much, and bye-bye, and thanks a lot, David-Alexandre, Gwenael, Guillaume, Michael, and of course, Julie. And so we wish you all a very nice evening.
Merci Nathalie.
Merci infiniment. Hein.
Merci Nathalie.
Merci beaucoup. À la prochaine.
À bientôt.
Plaisir de ta connaissance.
Ciao, ciao, à bientôt.